All right. Welcome to Soulful Six Figures and Beyond. Uh, I'm really excited about this topic today. For many, many years, like my life, money was a really icky subject to talk about, to think about, to feel about. There was nothing inside of me that really enjoyed talking about or thinking about money. So, it's interesting how our dharma and our karma unravels, and the things often what we most resist are the things that we often need to learn and inevitably claim. So I see this now looking back of the money story, and we'll talk a little bit about money story in a minute, and the tumultuous relationship that I've had with money, and what I've come to discover through working with my clients and through workshops and retreats is that every human I've ever met has a money story and a tumultuous relationship with money, no matter how many zeros you have in your bank account. So this got me really curious because money is something that we can't avoid in this third dimension, in this reality. It is something that we need to master it, in fact. And especially as spiritual, conscious humans, it is, I believe, our responsibility to heal our money wounding, our money stories, and open to be available to big money in the hands of women, big power in the hands of conscious women, big impact in the hands of incredible heart-centered women. Like, just imagine for the moment the world truly being very different, obviously, being very different if heart-centered, conscious, loving humans had the power, the impact, and the resources. So we are here on this planet at a time. There's no mistake that you and I are on the planet at this wild, crazy time, that our souls knew that this is it. This is the moment we want to be here for this, because the contrast that appears to be so great on the planet right now is our springboard for greater connection, greater awareness, greater consciousness, greater loving, greater forgiveness, and greater inner alignment. It is actually what feels like chaos, disconnect, that is the portal into our greatest alignment. And we have to wake up, and we have to take a stand now. There's no time to wait and sit back and stay in our old patterns and stay in our fear and stay in our scarcity. We just can't. I mean, we can, but it is really a disservice to ourselves, to others, and to the entire purpose for being on this planet. So, welcome. I actually wrote notes. I don't usually write notes, but I wrote some things down, and I wrote who this is for, this time together today. And it's for you, for spiritual, heart-centered leaders, coaches, for you if you're really wanting to shift the paradigm of your relationship to the energy, the frequency, the currency of what we call money. Who this isn't for. This isn't for you if you're committed to your past as being the truth. And here's where it gets slippery. I know you think you're not, and I think I'm not committed to the past, but when you pay deep, close attention, when you are the sadak, right, really letting this be a sadhana, a practice, you will see that you are more invested in, no pun intended, but literally invested in your past identity than where you want to go. And that's okay. And I've created something for you, which I'll talk about at the end. I'll talk about the Wise, Wild, and Wealthy program that's coming up, and I'll invite you into that. But this is not for you if you're not willing to shift your perspective or your consciousness. This is really healing your money story, expanding into greater wealth consciousness is not about, I'm going to be the person who has $1 million and I'm still me. No, 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 no. It is a complete transformation, transmutation, not just of the outer. You can't be the person that makes the multi six figures, the millions, the multi-millions, whatever it is that you would just so desire in your heart. You are not her now. You must understand that. Who you are today is not her. And if you think for a minute, I can just keep being me, keep thinking my thoughts, keep believing my beliefs, and increase my income, it's a misunderstanding. You literally need to become who you actually came here to be, not the false self that you're pretending to be through, oh, I don't know, and my doubt, and oh, what if I say this, or should I do that? And oh, like all of this pretending, I'm going to call it, fooling ourselves, doubting ourselves, diminishing ourselves, all of that pretending and believing into the I'm not good enough story. I don't deserve, I don't know enough, I don't have enough to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have the connections, I don't have the education, I don't have the experience, whatever form of not enough you're playing out in your mind that is permeating your entire reality. This is a misunderstanding. So you need to stop pretending. And this work that I do with my clients is not for those who aren't willing to get uncomfortable. If you are not interested in creating and cultivating a resilient nervous system, then this work isn't for you. Because I can tell you, you will be triggered beyond measure through money. And this is where I found it has been my deepest spiritual work. And I have been at this game for decades. I have been on a conscious, like knowing spiritual path for over 25 years, probably more, and probably lifetimes. And over the last 25 years, I have owned yoga studio. I have taught yoga teacher training. I have done energy healing work. I'm a trained clinical Ayurvedic specialist. I've been in the living, the practicing, the breathing of health, of wellness, of consciousness. And in retrospect, wow, when I look back to the sort of began as the starving artist mentality out of university, contemporary dance major here, and then so seamlessly wove into the poor spiritual archetype. And that I studied a very traditional yogic tradition and lived in an ashram in India. And I see that a lot of my absorption of programming was around only give, like service, seva. Karma yoga is all you do. You just give and give and give. And in my case, and in many cases, until you're like raw to the bone, until you've worked yourself down. And part of the mentality was to essentially break your ego. Now, this is wonderful. This is patriarchy. So it's not so wonderful. It is one system. It is one way. It is not the way. And what I found being in a female body, being highly sensitive, highly empathic, highly intuitive, was that the push, 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 push model led me to 10 years of an autoimmune condition, led me to all sorts of shenanigans in life, and ultimately initiations. It doesn't work for me. And I'm imagining it doesn't work for you either. I'm imagining that the grind, hustle, bro marketing, bro, like rah, 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 kind of, you can do it. It's not inherently bad or wrong, but we've been sold that this is like the only way to be successful or create money. And it's not true. And I found this out the long and windy way. So I feel so committed to share part of, or well, all of all of my journey. I won't have time today for all of it, but with conscious spiritual entrepreneurs and leaders and coaches who are like, oh my gosh, I so just want to be here and uplift. I want to do my inner work. I want to be of service without burning out, without the cost of my family, of my free time, essentially freedom. And at the end of the day, beyond anything, what matters most to me is moksha, is freedom, is liberation. This is yoga. This is why, 30 years ago, I began studying from a book, yoga, which really changed the trajectory of my life. So I'll invite you to just pause for a moment and just reflect on your own money story, what your relationship is. Like every time you go to get out your bank card or your credit card or to pay a bill, what happens in your body, in your nervous system, and what are the stories and beliefs that you have around what money is? And this is something that we will definitely unpack inside of the Wise, Wild, and Wealthy program, because until we can unearth the deeper layers, and it's not the things like I know full well that there is a belief downloaded into me that you have to work hard for money. That's obvious because that was passed down through the matriarchal lineage of my family. I know it. So that's fine. It's important to know those kind of big, gross beliefs. However, it is the things that that you're not aware of, that you actually believe are true. So let me give an example. So yeah, I can see the belief of you have to work hard to make money, of well, that's not true, because I can look around on the planet and see that some of the hardest working people on the planet are making $1 a day. And some of the least hardworking people are making billions, etc. So that's not a truth. It's not a universal truth. But inside of me, there might be a truth that is more subtle, more sneaky. And these are the ones. Oh, well, I can't do that until this. I can't really follow my dreams until and then we live in trade-offs. I can only do this when I have the money. I can only invest in this or that myself. I can only go on that workshop, that holiday, once I have it. And then what happens is the goalpost just keeps moving further and farther away. And what also happens is a major disconnection from truth, a major disconnection from the actual source energy that is trying so lovingly and so desperately to move through you and have you pay attention. But because of the programming being so thick and so heavy and so believable, then we stop, because we are in greater allegiance to fabrication, to other people's scarcity programs, than we are to really listening and being in touch with our divine knowing and our divine truth. And that is why I say that this process of deeper inquiry, and not just as I'm going to sit on my mat and meditate on it and contemplate around it, but actually put into practice, meaning getting skin in the game, meaning taking action, meaning demonstrating to the universe that you are a participant, not just well, I'll sit back and wait. And when things feel safe enough, when my nervous system feels comfortable enough, then I'll say, oh, okay, well, now the time is right. And then as lovely spiritual humans, we can use all sorts of wonderful, this is sarcasm, by the way, excuses around, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. How many times have you said that? I guess it just wasn't meant to be, or, oh, well, the timing isn't right. No, the only time we have is now. And I'm not talking about like forcing yourself. I'm talking about you get the knowing, you get the impulse, and then immediately, so quickly, you ignore it, or a million reasons why you shouldn't do that, couldn't do that come up. And so you don't act on it. And this is where we really need to build resiliency around this and deeper awareness, deeper insight, deeper self-reflection beyond the known patterns of what you already know you believe, those limiting beliefs. What are the deeper ones that are still running your life that you haven't caught up to? And I'll talk to you a little bit more later on about how we do that. Like, how do we actually discover that? How do we know what is going on behind the scenes, those deeper threads, and how do we pull them up at the root, right? In Ayurveda, we look at root cause of imbalance, not superficial, just getting rid of the symptoms. And this is how I've created my business, actually, and how I work with my clients. I'm very much in alignment with, I do not want to just give you a fish and feed you for today. I want to teach you how to fish for yourself, how to be in direct alignment with your source energy, with the source energy, not just say, oh, well, here's this and here's that. And this is what I guess, chased after for many years and spent tens of thousands of dollars investing in other people's formulas and programs. And like, well, if you just do this, then this is going to lead you to great success. And it's not that those things can't work. It's just that they didn't for me. And maybe they haven't for you either. And then you make up meaning about it being like, oh, well, maybe I should just go back and get a job, or maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I'm not meant to do this, the thing that is in my heart, the thing that I have the greatest desire around, the thing that I can't stop thinking about and feeling about, but oh, well, maybe it's not for me, because you've made meaning too quickly. And this is where most people give up. They get some external feedback through the five senses, make meaning out of it, and then turn the other way, go the other way. And this is where the resiliency piece is key, and a deeper spiritual understanding of yourself. So in the work that I do with my clients, we go beyond believing in the evidence of quote unquote reality, meaning the five senses. That's not reality. That's one dimension of, yeah, we can see, you can look at your bank account and say, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough clients. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. And that whole frequency starts to be, or has been, not starts to be, it has been and continues to be the foundation from which you're trying to create. It doesn't even make sense, right? When we get really honest and say, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm trying to build something on a foundation that is not stable, and it's not stable because it's not rooted in truth. The truth is, universal truth is abundance. Go to nature, look in nature. The truth is, this universe is progressive, constantly moving forward, constantly evolving, constantly expanding. Even if it's like this, even if it's expansion, contraction, it's always more like this. We're not going backwards, and neither are you. So stop pretending that you're in the same place you were previously. When I look back at my nervous system imprinting around money, I see that it was programmed into a nervous system wired to relate and respond via scarcity. Anyone else have that programming of something not enough? Something not enough. And ultimately, gets tied, we can see where it comes from. Comes from parents, comes from grandparents, comes from generations where, quite honestly, there may not have been enough. Like, that was a real thing. World wars, famines, like real scarcity, real poverty, and real deep challenges. Now, I'm not saying we don't have challenges today. However, what I am saying is that you are here to break your family lineage of any thread, any tendril of scarcity, because you know what? If you don't, that just gets passed down and down and down and down. Whether you have children or not, irrelevant. It gets passed down and down and down and down, and we keep perpetuating that world. And we're here to create a new world, a world that is source led, source sourced, opposed to the conditioning of a patriarchal system that is so out of fashion and quite frankly out of style. It is quite distasteful and it doesn't work. It is a broken system. And so we're trying to fit ourselves into a system that is broken, that is based on power struggles, opposed to inclusivity, opposed to unity consciousness. And so we are already downloaded with separation consciousness from the minute we enter this planet. We are programmed into separation. And this is the root cause of all dis-ease and root cause of whatever barrier is between you and where you desire to be financially, in your business, in your love life, in your health. This is separation consciousness. And so why all of sort of like the bro marketing can kind of work for people, or we get hooked into like, here's the 3 easy steps, just do this and everything will be okay, because we're not trusting in ourselves. We're not trusting in our connection. We're not trusting in our freaking creativity. We are creative beings and we are unique. So what works for me may not work for you. And it is irresponsible for me to sit here and tell you that that's true. And so the way that I work with my clients and inside my programs is to unearth that inside of you, because it is unique. It may be, it doesn't have to be, it may sometimes feel like a slower process. I know I definitely had, working with my coach, sometimes I just wanted her to tell me what to do. And that degree of codependency is what will, again, prevent you from receiving, prevent you from clarity of your inspired action, knowing. There's not 3 simple steps to your multi-6-figure or 7-figure year. There just aren't. However, I did write some down. Last night, I was like, okay, let's break this down. I looked back to be like, how did I create? I more than doubled my annual revenue last year. And within 90 days, I created my entire revenue from the previous year. So how did I do that? I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to tell you, like, honestly, wholly, what I did and what you can do too, because these are not the steps. These are the overarching principles so that you can apply to your life, and it's going to look a little bit different from mine. How does that sound? Sound good? Okay. Oh yeah, and I just want to say too, in case this resonates with you, part of my spiritual conditioning, like living in an ashram, conditioning around what a good spiritual person is, I was amazing at giving. I still am. I'm a really good giver. Here we are today. And what I didn't know, and is still something I have to exercise, is that muscle of receiving. And if you don't know how to receive, creating more financial abundance will elude you. If you do not know how to be in your feminine energy, things are going to be very difficult. And a lot of women are operating out of masculine energy only. because this is the world we've been taught, right? And this is why we're seeing huge burnout, thyroid, autoimmune, all of these things, because we're pushing, we're pushing, we're pushing. We're trying to be in an energy that is useful at certain times as a tool, but not as a way to live our lives. So that imbalance of giving and receiving can be so off energetically. And when it is off energetically, it's very difficult. And I had this just recently. I had a friend staying and she wanted to take me for dinner. And I was like, no, no, like I couldn't. And eventually surrendered because we talked about it. I was like, wow, it's really difficult for me still in situations to receive without feeling obligated. One of the beliefs that was passed down to me is like, if someone gives you something, you owe them, you're beholden to them. You're beholden. If someone has, it's like that whole idea of tit for tat. And then, well, now I feel that I have to reciprocate, and it's like a burden because not because I don't want to reciprocate, but it's like this back of my mind, well, oh, that person that one time did this thing for me, or this person's always taking me for dinner or wanting to do this, instead of trusting that adults can make their own decisions. And if someone is giving, they're giving from their heart. And if they're not, that's on them. And for me to really clean up and clear up and be honest about, where am I giving from? Am I giving from obligation? Am I giving from thinking like, oh, I have to reciprocate to this person in this way because they gave to me in that way? Am I giving because I don't feel enough? Maybe you know one of those people or are one of those people that overgives. I have a friend who she never shows up without like a gift. Even if it's like not my birthday, like giving something. Not saying that's inherently bad or wrong, but it's interesting to be like, where does that come from? Do I feel like I have to justify my existence through giving? Here, let me show you. Do you like me now? Do you like me now? How about now? Did I give enough? How about this? How about more? Here, take it all. Take it here. Like it literally can become that way, not consciously, but watch yourself, because it is all of these things that will, again, separate you from the life, from the financial abundance that you desire. And inside of your business, working with your clients, it gets really sticky and messy and dirty. And we need to clean up our money story so that we can be in clear, clean energy, so that we're not in neediness. Oh my God, I need this person to book a session with me, or I need this person to sign up with me. No, you work for source and with source, and you are source. And when you really get that, it changes everything. Okay. So my system, maybe yours, was set for poverty, scarcity mindset. My nervous system was entangled with that. And what I've been exploring over, well, decades now, is the unraveling, the unveiling of the truth of who I am and the truth of who you are. And the truth is that because you exist, you are worthy. Like, take that in. And here's what I found most heart-centered spiritual people don't do. And this is a problem if they want more. They passively wait. They wait. If it's meant for me, I guess it'll be here. Yes. And you are a co-creator. You are an active participant. And if you are just sitting back being passive, thinking, well, it should just arrive on my doorstep. If you're not jumping in, if you're not, what I would say, even taking risks, if you're not stepping up, if you're waiting until it feels more comfortable, you will always wait. It's not supposed to feel comfortable. And if it does, you're probably stuck in the past version of yourself. That's like, okay, now this, because it feels usual, it feels normal to you. Comfort is not actually very helpful. It's not a helpful ally. And so sometimes the allies that are most uncomfortable are truly, and you might think of them as like challenges of, I don't want this to be happening. Why is this happening to me? If you turn and face that, you can turn it into your greatest ally. But you just don't have the consciousness to see that yet. And that's where it feels stressful. It's where you perceiving it as stress, as lack, as separation. The other thing that spiritual don't do is they don't decide. So that's part of like the passively wait, right? They don't make a decision. And they don't work with the energy of money because they think it's separate from their spiritual practice. Oh, I'm going to go do my yoga. I'm going to go meditate. I'm going to go look at my gene keys. I'm going to do these things that are spiritual. And it feels so good, doesn't it? To do your spiritual practice. I mean, sometimes, most of the time. I'm one with God, the universe, life, source, creator. And then when it comes to like opening up online banking, oh my God, or I got to pay this bill. And what is this? It's like, wait a second, where did you decide that life is compartmentalized? That there's spiritual life, then there's material life. No, there's life. There's life. Period. There's just life. And how you be inside your life is up to you. And that is the reflection of your spiritual depth and maturity. How you choose to be in relationship to all things is the reflection of your spiritual maturity. And if you keep money separate from that, you're fooling yourself. You're kidding yourself because it's not separate. It is part of life, and it's not this dirty, bad, evil thing. And I get really excited when my clients come and are like, I just tripled my income this month. Because it's not just about that number, it's who that person had to become, what they had to believe, the action steps they had to take. That's why. And so my business is heading to $1 million. And I'm most excited about that because who I am becoming is the highest version of myself. Because I have to be. And then I can support others in that. If we've walked the path, we know the path. And we can support others. If we're floundering and flailing around, drowning in our money story, and then turning around and trying to be like a life coach, it's very difficult to hold the frequency. It's very difficult to hold the energy if it has not been embodied. And so do not spend a minute beating yourself up for where you've been or even where you might be right now. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's not where you're going unless you don't shift the trajectory. Oh, and the third thing I found that heart-centered spiritual people don't do typically is they don't invest in themselves and they don't get support. They don't get into the room. Like if you want to create 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it is in your life, in your business, in your world, you need to get in the rooms of those conversations where it's normalized, where saying those numbers isn't like taboo or icky or sticky. We're having these conversations. Don't feel uncomfortable, that it becomes part of your consciousness, that you can see that there are other women just like you doing it. And this is where the power of the right kind of support and community can be really impactful. Because otherwise, everything, like maybe you see someone on social media and you're like, oh yeah, this woman's claiming to like make all this money and it's easy and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I don't believe it. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I can tell you that the more I commit to being myself, the more I love myself unconditionally, and the more I make a decision and allow myself, give myself that permission to say, yeah, this is what I want. I want to create a multi-million-dollar movement inspiring women to step into their power even more, to claim greater abundance, greater power, greater impact. That's why I'm here. And so when you are in the conviction of why you're here, what you're doing, what are you doing, and claiming it, that is going to open the energetic channels, the portals for you. But it's a process. So I'm going to give you my outline so that you can apply it to you of doubling my annual revenue, of creating my previous year's revenue in 90 days, in fact. And here it is. As I go through this, please watch what happens to you internally. If you're like, oh yeah, I know that. If you are not living and experiencing the life that you want, the financial abundance that you want now, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. So please, please pay attention. Unfortunately, the longer we've been studying and investing in our spiritual practice, sometimes that can be a disservice because we think we know these things, but we haven't fully embodied them. I don't say that in a derogatory sense. I'm just saying that because I've seen it in myself and I see it in my clients. We know it here. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know life is abundant, blah, blah. We can say it. We can teach it even. But what is that? How is that embodied and integrated? That's the disconnect. And the embodiment comes through living it, demonstrating to the universe, not through, oh, yeah, I believe in abundance, but like, how are you living your life? It's through your acts, through your actions that we demonstrate. And then our meditations, our affirmations, our intentions, that is the tool. That is a tool to embodiment, but that's not embodiment, right? That's busy work. And some people just stay in the busy work, being like, well, why is nothing changing? I'm saying my affirmations. I'm visualizing. But the underlying foundation of identity hasn't shifted. Who you believe yourself to be hasn't changed. You're just slapping practices on top of that without coming again to that root cause. Okay, so number one, your desire. You must feel into your heart. This is where so many lovely humans stop or don't even get started because there is a desire, but it's too outrageous or too simple or too much against their conditioning, whether they're family. Oh my God, well, if I were to like really let myself want that like Porsche Cayenne, oh my gosh, well, I couldn't be more successful than my father. Or, well, that would probably make my siblings very uncomfortable and they'd start saying, who do you think you are? In that way, right? In that way. So, or it's just, we shut it down so quickly because it's not spiritual or it's not who we were before. But desire is source, creator, speaking to your heart and through your heart. And your desire is different from mine. We're not all desiring the same thing. And that is beautiful. So knowing what your desire is and allowing it, this in and of itself can require some work and some guidance around how to even access that. And then the second phase, these aren't linear, by the way. This isn't like necessarily sequential. It's more like spaghetti. You'll see why at the end. So number two, decide and declare. So once that desire is in your heart, you need to decide it. most people, again, fall short here. They don't actually claim it and put a stake in the ground. They kind of think, well, if it happens, that would be great, but I'm not going to fully decide and claim it, because if I do and it doesn't happen, well, then I'm going to be disappointed, or there's more. There's the evidence. Yeah, it's too hard. It's not meant for me. Whatever our little ego mind makes meaning of through, not that it's not for you. It's just like, well, maybe it hasn't happened yet. And so people give up. They walk away. They give up on their dreams. They give up on themselves. They give up on the energy that life brought them. And they just shut it down and go back to hum ho. Well, I guess this is just my lot in life. Ever heard anyone say that? Guess this is just how it's supposed to be for me. And then the third, I've touched upon this already. You need to demonstrate, participate. You need to participate. You need to take inspired action. So people have the desire, they even have the download, the hit, the inspiration, but then the mind will come in and be like, oh no, well, I can't because, oh, I can't reach out to that person. I can't send that email. Oh, I can't change my rates. I can't just double my rates out of the blue. I'll lose all my clients. They were given the divine direction and then chose to ignore it. Ever done this? Anyone ever done that? I have definitely done this many times. I got it. And then then we spin around because we're not willing to trust ourselves, for goodness sake. And again, it's a practice, and it is a developmental stage, essentially, to learn to trust ourselves. So we must demonstrate to the universe. We must participate. For me, that looked like putting my stake in the ground, investing in myself through my mentor, because investing in myself through my mentor was tens of thousands of dollars, and it made me sit up a little straighter, made me go, okay, I'm doing this. There was accountability, there was an investment, and it changed things. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have accomplished the level of success without me investing in myself in that way. To me, that was the signal to the universe saying, okay, I believe in me. And honestly, most people don't believe either that they're worthy enough or that it will work for them. And those are often the biggest obstacles to, especially women who haven't been taught to invest in themselves. That will often be the biggest obstacle. They either don't believe they're worthy because of those deep wounds, or they don't believe it will work, which again comes back to not believing in it really working for them. Okay, number 4, fully surrender. I will tell you what surrender is not, my friends. Surrender is not giving up and is not complacency. True surrender is submissive. We don't like that word, right? Oh, I don't want to be submissive. Well, submissive is receiving, fully receiving your divine download, your inner guidance, and following it without questioning it. So often we'll get so far along the path and we'll say, well, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to make my multi-six figures. I'll do anything to grow my business. Oh, but not that thing. Not going to do that. No, not, that's a little too uncomfortable. And so like that, we go through our days saying, I'm all in. But when it really comes down to it, we're not really willing to do whatever it takes. Maybe you have an example in your life from that. I'll share this as the example that just came to me now. So my partner and I spend winters in Costa Rica, and last year I wanted to sublet out part of my home for the time that we were away. And I had reached out to an agency that helps, organize these kinds of things. And the woman was like, well, what do you like? All these things. You don't have a TV. There's only going to be one bathroom. Like there were all these reasons why she didn't think that it was possible. And because there's only one parking spot going to be available for them, all of these things. So she just came in, it was like big Debbie Downer. And I was like, oh, okay, well, she's the expert. She should know. She knows the market. She knows all this, right? And I was like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to actually use that energy, that contrast for what I do want. I want to have perfect subletters come in. I want it to be easy. And so it was recommended to me to like put flyers in neighbors' doors or talk to neighbors. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable. I don't know. It felt uncomfortable for me to be like, knock on the neighbor's door and be like, oh, hey, do you know anybody that blah, blah, blah. Like it was something inside of me felt kind of embarrassed. And then I took a breath and I really felt in it. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to do what it takes. I am willing to do what it takes. Like I really committed to that. I went to bed. The next morning I woke up and I kid you not, inside of, because I had posted this on like Facebook Marketplace, I had all of these responses where before that, zero, nothing, nobody. And all of a sudden, I changed my own inner energy and what I was willing to do because I truly was willing to go and knock on the neighbors' doors and be like, hey, do you know anybody? And so like that, I shifted the energy responded, and I rented out my place easily and quickly like that. So that's just an example of there's going to be something you're going to get to a point where you're like, I don't want to do that. And then you need to go deeper. You need to look at where is that resistance coming from? For me, it was coming from wounding because when I was a kid, I was involved in so many activities like figure skating and swimming and dance classes and all of these things, which was great, but we were always selling something like, and I had to go door to the neighbors. I sold Christmas tree ornaments, magazine subscriptions, cheese, what else? All sorts of things. And so I really don't like walking up to neighbor like, hey, do you want to buy some Girl Guide cookies? Like that's how it felt to me because I hadn't yet integrated that, 11-year-old girl who was like knocking on people's doors asking for something because she's selling something for her activities. Okay. So after full surrender, fully listening and responding to that inner guidance, and this is where I say this isn't necessarily linear, but your identity shift. There must be an identity shift. You cannot be who you were previously. You must become the one who makes the multi six figures, signs the 5-figure client, creates her multi 7-figure global movement. Who is she? And I'll tell you, if that desire is in your heart, you have everything inside of you to actualize it. You do. There might be some pieces that need to come together, obviously, but that foundation is there. And from my perspective, you need to do whatever it takes to live into that. You do not want to exit this planet without fulfilling your dharma, and meaning without being who you came here to be. And if you're living in scarcity and lack and separation consciousness, you didn't come here for that. I can guarantee your soul did not come here and say, I'm going to go down to that planet. I'm going to incarnate into a human body and I'm going to live out my life feeling afraid and scarce. I can almost be certain that's not what your soul was thinking when it signed up for this journey. Tell me if I'm wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong. And then the 6th phase is gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. And living in that state of, I have already received it. It is done. Again, not from the intellect, but in the body. I feel it. I feel myself. I know. I am that multi-millionaire leader of a global women's movement of empowerment, of activation, of alignment and abundance. So you get to decide what that is for you. And part of the practice is living it, feeling it. And it might in the beginning feel like you're pretending it, but you're pretending everything anyway. You're making it all up anyway. So why not make up something that feels good? Because everything, you're making up the scarcity, you're making up the fear, you're making up the separation. So why not invest your energy into making up your heaven on earth, creating your life as you wish it, not as you don't wish it. I don't want this and I don't want that and I don't want that. Well, stop creating that. Stop focusing on that. Stop speaking that story. Stop thinking that story. Yes? All right, so let me review. I'll just do a quick review of those 6 phases. There's 6 phases of consciousness is what they are. Do you see this? So we have desire, dance, desire. We have decide and declare. We have demonstrate to the universe, participate. We have surrender, identity shift, and gratitude. And there are 3 main obstacles that will prevent you from living this. So you need these every step of the way. Number 1, you need energy psychology. This is subconscious programming. And this is when I work with my clients, we're always looking at that subconscious programming, the rewiring, the reworking of that through energy activations and transmissions. I think this is a really big missing piece for a lot of people. You can do, this isn't mindset work. This is consciousness work. Mindset is great. We need that. Absolutely. But if you don't go beneath that deeper, you're going to keep bumping up against yourself is really what it is. You also need support. I really believe that you need someone that will hold a mirror up to you, that will not let you get away with your BS, your old identity, and that someone that's walked the path. And we've been trained that we should be able to do it all alone. Little Miss Independent. I should be able to figure it out. Yes, you are intelligent. You are super wise. That doesn't mean that support isn't, it's not like you can't do it alone, but I'll tell you, you'll expedite your progress and your process with support. The right support. I mean, I've also gotten support that was in a roundabout way supportive because I learned through contrast. I learned through what I didn't want to do. But when I look back, I also invested in certain programs out of fear, out of not enough, out of like, oh God, I don't know enough, I don't have enough. Instead of, you know, when I've invested with my mentor, I was aligning with her as a thought partner. I was out of the codependent, like, please just tell me what to do and how to do it, of like, I am aligning with an energy, a frequency, and a thought partner. There's a very big difference. One will attract, and if one will attract, you know, clients that are in that codependent and like that guru worship of just like, oh, here, tell me what to do. The other is, I'm a self-led woman, and this is who I believe you are, and you get to try this on for yourself. As a self-led woman, you don't need someone to tell you what to do, and you probably don't even want someone to tell you what to do a lot of the time. Right? How it's kind of, yes, it can be a bit of a relief for someone to tell us what to do, but it's disempowering because then we never get to know what our own truth is. We never get, it's like a child, right? If we never let them fall, if we never let them find out for themselves, then they're not going to really embody. So I believe that support is essential. And the other thing is community, is being in these kinds of conversations. If they're important to you, if they light you up, you have to get in the room you want to be in. If you want to make more money, you got to get in the room with other humans that have that same intention. And then find out what room, because there's a lot of rooms, right? Like there's a lot of rooms talking about that. And for me, I don't want to be in most of those rooms because they feel gross. I want to be in a room that is like, yes, I want to talk about live abundance connected to source, because my whole reason of being here is liberation. So if that is not included, I'm not interested. So you get to just decide what room you want to be in, what conversations you want to be in. Because you can go to the, an investment seminar or a such and such seminar, and all of these things may be useful. I'm not saying that isn't, but to me, I find those so, everything about that like boring. I actually feel a little nauseous every time I walk into a bank. I don't know what I'm like, the lighting's off, the colors, could someone redesign this place? Just doesn't feel like great. So normalizing abundance and financial abundance in the hands of conscious women is crucial, is important for me, and I believe for you if you're here. It's connected to our power, it's connected to our impact, and we can't keep pretending that it's not. We can't keep giving and giving and giving and not being reciprocated financially for the service. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about a brand new program called, I have to say it really slowly because it's a bit of a tongue twister, Wise, Wild, and Wealthy. I was inspired from my clients actually to create this program. I was inspired to generate a program that balances, harmonizes, and utilizes both the masculine and the feminine frequencies to generate abundance, to look underneath to that root foundation of what's in the way, what's truly in the way, what ancestral programming, what subconscious programming, and how to rework that to step into a greater place of power. So I'm going to share, I know we're coming up to the top of our hour here. I'm going to just take 2 minutes to share this and also offer you a special today for being here, for participating inside of this class, for being interested in this kind of work. So Wise, Wild, and Wealthy, we have 6 modules of this program. And let me just see, I'm going to share my screen with you. Give me one moment and then I can walk through this with you. Just to share, I just want to show you the modules because I think they're really fun. Can you see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay. So these are the main modules that we're going to be focusing on. We're going to meet live and dive deep into these processes. You're going to also have a library of wealth consciousness content and receive wealth transmissions and activation. So this isn't like a textbook school. This is an experience, and you're going to literally be in a money mindset, heart set, consciousness set training program that every day you're going to be training like you would, say, for the Olympics, or if you wanted to run a 10K race and you're going to go train, this is what we're going to be doing inside of Wise, Wild, and Wealthy. It will be a training program. So we've got the Soul of Money, which is to support you in rewiring your wealth identity. The frequency of overflow, like even that word overflow, right? Not just money, energy, time, activating your wealth codes, because there is a code. There is a code inside of you. The divine exchange, so redefining your relationship with receiving, that's what we spoke about earlier, really important piece. Wealth alchemy, transmuting fear into financial power. Definitely fear will come up at every next level of your expansion. There will be fear and contraction that will come up to try to sabotage you. The quantum wealth strategy, the path of aligned action, and wealth as a legacy. So really, like, what is not only your wealth legacy, but the legacy of who you be on this planet. What is the energetic vibration or frequency that you want to live now and also leave on the planet? Because you as a unique soul are vibrating, are emanating and are impacting and influencing all of existence. So as we raise our consciousness and return to that unity consciousness, this actually helps to heal the planet, helps to heal relationships, your inner community, but also the planet at large. And this is such a beautiful incentive of how to, or why to continue to shed these non-self behaviors, these non-self beliefs rooted in fear and lack and scarcity. So, the cost, the investment of this problem, that's old programming, the cost, right? What is it going to cost? I like to rework things in terms of investment. And if something isn't an investment for you in your life, don't buy it. Why would you be spending money on something that is a cost to you? In my life now, I really gauge like, what is this an investment? So I'm going to pay my internet bill. That's an investment in my internet and my business and how I communicate with everybody. Buying nourishing food, again, investment in my health and my well-being. Working with my coach, investment, not a cost. So if something isn't an investment, I would definitely like reconsider it. Like, why are you doing that if you're not investing? So it's $9.97 is the cost, but for the next 48 hours, you will get a $200 discount for that. So it will be $7.97 plus 2 juicy bonuses that I believe are super important. One is the Theta Healing audio collection to help reprogram the subconscious. Those are just audios that you essentially let rewire your subconscious. Very easy. You just sit up or lie down and receive. And the other bonus is the identity shift program. The piece around your identity is super crucial. It's the crux of it all. If you don't shift your identity out of non-self behavior and into greater alignment with who you truly are meant to be, then you will struggle, you will fight, you will hustle, you will try really hard. I've spent a lot of my life trying really hard. And quite sincerely too, like sincerely trying hard, genuinely working hard to serve and to give. And the harder I work, it's like the carrot dangling in front of the donkey, right? It's like the harder I work, it just seems to like elude me. So I've discovered that hard work is not the way. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about alignment. So I'm going to pop that link here. This is the link for the discounted investment for Wise, Wild, and Wealthy. We begin on Wednesday. If you can't make the live classes, you will get all of the recordings. And it's going to transform everything. It will transform the way you see yourself, the way you see your financial experience and your life. So thank you. Thank you so much for your presence today. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I'm also going to, let me put the link to the actual program here in the chat. However, to get the discount, you'll want the link that I just sent to you. That's not on, it's not on the website. So here's the website page that gives you a little more information. And here is the Stripe that will give you the discount. Okay. All right. Are there any questions? I'm going to let you, the questions that are on the website, I'm just going to let you guys look at that yourself. Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, we will meet for live classes. And I'll send you the schedule of the exact dates of those. So I sent the link inside of the chat. It's the Stripe link, and that's just means that's the link to give you the discount there. All right, I'm just flipping back through the conversations. I know that I've been chatting a lot. Yes, Michelle saying I'm not sure how I know how to receive. I feel like I'm very masculine, hustle pushing, so tired of this. I totally hear you. That is very, very common. We've been taught that. And I was in that for years as well. And then my health really suffered from that. Receiving seems to be one of my issues. Though outside of money, I receive a lot. Aha. So, and that can be true, right? We might receive in some ways and not in other ways. And another, Claire saying, also, I've operated in masculine energy much of my life, pushing. Yeah, anytime we're in that push, that force, that, and it doesn't mean, this is where there sometimes is confusion about the action taking. And sometimes the action taking, it's going to feel rigorous. It's not always just like, oh, I'm going to float through it. Like sometimes it's going to be rigorous. It's like going on a hike. You love the hike, you enjoy the hike, but there's parts of it that are hard, or that you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Did I decide to do this? This isn't fun right now. And then when you come down from the hike, like that was the best thing ever. Ever had those experiences? Like I had that with climbing a lot too. It's like in the moment, I'm like, wow, this is really testing me. This is really working me. This is really trying. And then we get through that because we become someone else, right? We become someone different through the completion, through the staying power. And most women don't have, and maybe humans have the nervous system for the staying power. Disappointment comes, we give up. We make it mean like, oh, I'm not good enough, or that person didn't like it, or I put this off, or no one signed up. So the staying power muscle also needs to be exercised and strengthened. All right. Any other questions before we go? All right, my friends, thank you so much. Light ahead to your journey to wealth consciousness and to that expansion. And may you be happy and feel whole and loved every single day. I'll talk to you soon, and feel free to reach out. You can email me if you have any questions. It's actually m@themelanie.phillips.com. You can find me there if you have any questions. m@themelanie.phillips.com. Okay. Bye.